feel it's only right that my next one of these top 10 lists features watches from my homeland. This list is going to be a little different from some of the other lists I've already put together, largely because of some of the nomenclature of where I live. I've called this list the top 10 best British watches, but the United Kingdom isn't the same as Great Britain. The UK includes all 4 nations of the Union, including Northern Ireland, and Great Britain is the name of the island which is home to England, Scotland and Wales. This list will only feature watches from those 3 nations. Not because I have anything against Northern Ireland, but if I'm honest, because British looks better on the thumbnail than UK, and because Nomadic Watches, the brand I'd feature from Northern Ireland, don't sell models under the $1,000 price point. With that cleared up, let's look at the rules for this video. The first is that the brand must be British in some way, shape or form, and I'll use the flag animation at the start of each watch segment to identify which nation it's from. The second is that the watch model featured has to be available under the $1,000 mark. Where these are second-hand prices, I will flag that up. And finally, each brand will only feature once on the list for the sake of variety. With all that said, let's get into the video. If you've seen a review of Mr. Jones watches before, you'll no doubt have seen some of their quirky designs and innovative ways of time telling, with the number cruncher, ricochet and perfectly useless afternoon models being some of their most prominent. The concept of the M1 is perhaps one of the most boring I've ever come across. It's based on road signage and is designed in collaboration with Margaret Calvert, who was responsible for a significant portion of the road sign designs in the UK. The watch itself, though, is anything but dull. I've not seen anything quite like it. Despite not having any numerals or indices, it's extremely easy to tell the time with and has fantastic legibility. It's a really neat and affordable piece of British design that really stands out on wrist. The Broughton is a 40mm dress watch available in a number of colourways, each one limited to 100 pieces each. The Gower Watch Company offers something I can't say I've ever seen before on a watch website. You can select which specific numbered model you'd like to purchase. I've selected the Blue Pool version for the colourway, and if I'm honest, just how good it looks in the promotional imagery. The watch has a Miyota 8N24G movement, which you can see in operation through the exhibition caseback. You're also getting stainless steel construction, sapphire glass with AR coating and a premium leather strap. Each watch is assembled and regulated in-house. There aren't a great number of Welsh watch brands, but Gower are offering fantastic value and quality and fully deserve their place on this list. CWC have a long history of producing watches for the Ministry of Defence. They were first established when Hamilton closed their UK operations, leaving a gap for a British brand to step into the fold. All of their watches are military inspired, but some ranges are actually mil-spec. As a result of this, they share a lot of similarities with some of the offerings from Marathon across the pond. I've picked out the General Service Quartz. In the 1970s, the MOD requested a tonneau-shaped case for their new field watches. However, at the time, the Swiss quartz movements available simply would not fit, so bulkier cases were required and the tonneau design was shelved. Well, CWC have brought that original design back, affectionately dubbing it as the Lost Boy. For twice the price, you can get a Solita-powered mechanical or automatic movement, but with a field watch like this, I think being accurate is more important, so paying double for less accuracy doesn't really fit that well for me. I think it's fair to say that there has been a decent amount of Cartier inspiration with the Scarra 4. But despite that, I don't feel it's quite into full homage territory, and it does have a little design language of its own. I particularly like the chevron dial effect, and the dimensions are fantastic. I'll go so far to say that of all the watches featured on the list, this is by far and away the one I'm most likely to actually purchase for myself, as I'm yet to have any square or rectangular models in my collection. As there is no second hand with this model, I would absolutely advise a quartz purchase, as there's a significant saving to be made. You get a range of colour options. I think purple would be my pick of the bunch, and because of that lack of a second hand, no one will ever know that it's quartz. However, I would be doing this watch a disservice if I didn't mention the mechanical model, which still retails under $1,000 but uses a Sellita SW210B movement, which you can see through the exhibition caseback. I think that is absolutely amazing engineering considering the watch is only 8.3mm thick. Vertex as a brand is special to me because throughout my childhood, my dad wore his father's watch, which was a Vertex. The modern iterations are certainly nice, but they are very expensive. The Review is a small dress watch, but it's period correct given its 1950s vintage. It's absolutely beautiful. A well-preserved model is in my mind an heirloom piece to be treasured and handed down from generation to generation. While a British brand, Vertex have had a strong relationship with Switzerland since their inception, with operations starting in 1916 in both Hatton Gardens in London and La Chaux-de-Fonds in Switzerland. As a result, this is also a model that boasts Swiss made on the dial. I really wanted to feature an Anon model on the list as they are one of the most famous Scottish watch brands with their enamel dials. However, even second hand, they are too pricey to feature on a list like this. Luckily, Anon teamed up with another lower budget Scottish watch brand, Paulin, to release the Neo, which is not only a vibrant watch with vivid colour choices thanks to the anodised and dyed aluminium dials, but it is quite an original piece of design and isn't obviously derivative of any other models, which I think is something quite uncommon in modern horology. Even less common is the fact that the owners of both brands are actually married to each other, so this is a collaboration that makes a lot more sense than most. A few times a year, Christopher Ward runs sales periods for their end-of-line watches and like-new returns. One such sale came to an end last week, where a variety of June models were discounted. While you might not be able to find these kind of prices at the time of the video's release, there is a healthy second-hand market should this model take your fancy. There are a number of colourways available, but for me, I think the white sand is the pick of the bunch. I've probably done enough waxing lyrical about Christopher Ward on this channel to last a lifetime, so I'll spare you by simply saying, just look at the watch. I think it speaks for itself. While it is a British brand, you're also getting Swiss made on the dial here. I would honestly struggle to find fault with this model. The story of Duckworth Prex is one that will sound all too familiar to anyone who has looked into the history of any number of revived micro brands. A family business with their own brand, Prex produced all manner of watch models until they swapped to selling just Swiss-made watches in the UK following the quartz crisis. As with many other micro brands, they were revived with a lot of love and care and are now perhaps best known for their cushion-shaped cases, as you see with the Verimatic Fume. It has a little look of the Vacheron 1921 to it, without being a shameless homage, and the dial remains resolutely untilted. There are a number of colour and strap options available, but I think the black smoky Fume dial with the black suede strap stands above the rest of the range. A really classy timepiece. The Marlo Daytimer is a pocket watch inspired range which really caught my eye. It's maybe just a little too big for me at 41mm in diameter, but if you're a fan of larger dials, there is a lot to love here. The design is extremely clean, which I think is accentuated by the hollow handset, gold inner ring, and all white surfaces. While I'm a big fan of the design aesthetic overall, I have to say my favourite element is the Sellita SW2161 manual movement, which you can see beating away thanks to a fantastically well done exhibition caseback. When you combine that with a sub-sector second dial beating over the top of concentric circles breaking up the pebbled dial, with that tiny cutout date circle embedded within it. So many nice little touches here. While certainly not cheap, I think this watch looks a lot more expensive than it actually is. For fans of bigger watches, at the top end of the budget range, I present to you the White Watch from William Wood. While the design language is not necessarily anything new, it's so well executed here, with a double domed AR coated sapphire crystal really accentuating the aesthetic. Thanks to the cutout indices, there's actual depth to the dial, which ironically really elevates it in terms of look and feel. As I mentioned, this is a watch for people with bigger wrists. It's only 41mm in diameter, but the lug to lug of 49mm and the height of 15mm is going to be very ungainly on smaller wristed people. So a great watch, but a word of caution. I for one certainly know that I couldn't pull this one off. So there we have it, what are in my opinion the top 10 best British watches that money can buy for less than $1,000. Now it might be controversial to use dollars in a video about Britain, but YouTube prefers USD, and to be honest, so do I, because it means that for me, when I see a price, I know I'll be paying a bit less than that in sterling. Let me know in the comments if you agree with the choices on the list, or if you think there are other more deserving models that could have been featured. I've got plenty of ideas lined up for these list videos, but if there is something you want me to look into, let me know. As ever, thank you for your time. If you've enjoyed what you've seen or found it informative, consider dropping the video a like, and then subscribing for more content like this.